All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are back to playing Call of Cthulhu today. We are continuing Eternal Lies, and we are venturing west, U.S. west, to Los Angeles as we have landed, and we're about to explore the City of Angels. And we made a little quip. I said, "Hey, they're going to explore the site of the 1924 massacre," and then Steven, unprompted, in Discord, and said, "and soon to be site of the 1936 massacre," which admittedly I was thinking as I typed out the 1924 massacre as well. So glad we're all on the
Great
same
minds.
page.
Great minds.
Absolutely. So yeah. I told Melissa, I was about to tell them this, and I realized I'll just save it for stream. I told Melissa that I was going to do is every character that you guys meet in California is going to have a mix of transatlantic / surfer dude. Like, I'm just going to somehow blend them together. Now listen here.
I'm all for
buddy. I don't know how to do it. It's so hard. Now listen here, guy. What do you? I don't know. I had something before.
What do you?
Like,
what
I
do
still
you
like the idea
up to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like the idea of Kearns having a different accent every time we talk to him.
I do. I just don't have that many. Like today, maybe it'll be my Danish accent, I guess. It's not really Danish, but it's the closest thing I got. You know, where I just do my Saxons and Danes stuff. Yeah. Saxons and Danes living together. Oh, God.
The Utrecht accent.
Oh, God. Utrecht. I mean, that's what like my Bullrich character is. It was Utrecht, son of Utrecht. So I did Bullrich, son of Bullrich. God, is the stupidest character. Oh, so good. Anyhow, but yeah, we're starting up anyway. To get back on topic, we're starting up Los Angeles. We're sorry if we're late. We were talking American politics before we got on, so let's just jump in. Let's do a couple quick intros. Say who you are, which point, who you're playing, etc., and then we'll dive into the game. So, Steven, who are you?
I'm playing Pastor Zephaniah Wood. I am a current evangelist traveling across the U.S. with my tent revival congregations. But I do have experience as a Texas Ranger as well. So from now on, I'll probably be carrying my pistol after we've been attacked.
Okay, fair enough. That's good to know. It's something we'll address a little bit at the start when we get into some business and such. But that's good to know. Next up, Marie. Tell us who you are.
So I am Marie Wynn. I go by Sissy May or May. She is by profession a jazz singer who's done a bit of traveling. She was recently voluntold that she was going to be working a wedding in Savannah in the spring. So we'll see how this investigation goes and whether that is going to be a promise made and promise broken.
I'm excited to see what your sanity score is by then, and what it actually looks like when Sissy May goes sing. Just seeing things in the shadows left and right. Should be great.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Next up, Maitre, tell us about Shima.
Shima is your student researcher who is on a full ride wrestling scholarship to Miskatonic, and she's really excited because this is her second time on a plane, and it's so cool. And she gets to travel with Sissy May, who she thinks might be a little bit mad at her, but like she's not sure why, because she got her this really amazing opportunity to make so many people so happy. So I don't really understand why she's upset, but I hope she's not too upset. She's so great and so wonderful, and I love her so much.
Sounds like she's just really sensitive and high maintenance and such. Apparently, that's what it is. Let's try to sow some Discord. Yeah, I gotta sow some Discord. Next up, Ashley, tell us about Beverly Key and how she's doing. She got her proverbial ass beat in Savannah. So how's she doing?
She's a little shaken, understandably so. But she's driven by knowledge, and there's people working really hard to keep this stuff buried and hidden, and that's just kind of increasing her curiosity.
I like it. Way to play into the drive, Ashley. That's awesome. And you did some reading too on the plane. You dug a bit into the book from the notebook of Douglas Henslow, and so like mechanically speaking, you got a 2%? Was it 2 percentage points of Cthulhu mythos in that Lord? Yeah. So the madness of Douglas Henslow and his time in 1924 and prior has started to seep into your brain. I'm sure that's not going to come back to bite you. Next
totally
up,
not at all.
Totally be fine. And next up, Long, tell us about Patrick.
Humble Baba here, Patrick Price. I've just gotten away with murder. Don't know how, but I'm feeling lucky now landing in LA.
Okay, especially after the dream you had, I'm surprised you're feeling lucky because you had a rough dream on the way over. So let's get into it then. So last time around, we picked up in the aftermath of that muddy fight on the country roads of Savannah where you all were attacked. Dr. Key, you kept the driver alive. Shima, you worked on trying to repair the car. Pastor Wood, you started sifting through the attacker's other abandoned vehicle, and you found a matchbook for the Hotel Savannah. Back in the city, you all arranged for a medical doctor to come take care of the driver. Marie, you concocted a couple relatively believable half-truths, I would say, for your hotel manager and also for the police who came to question you. Patrick, when you were going through your room, you actually discovered that someone had been in there. And subsequently, this was true of everyone's room, and someone searched your room without permission. And although nothing was actually taken, you did notice that they went through some of your personal things, your identifying papers and belongings and such like that. And so some of that was actually viewed by whoever was snooping. In the morning, you all sent out some telegrams home. Earlier that night, Marie had a very awkward conversation with Janet Winston Rogers to get approval to go to LA. But in the morning, you all sent some telegrams home, or at least a few of you did. And then you started making inquiries at Hotel Savannah, where Marie convinced a clerk that it was a missed connection, and she got information about the attackers and that they never spoke. They communicated only in notes, including one that they had recently given that morning. They checked out before dawn. They headed to the airport. So you all went there as well. You're going there anyway. Shima, you befriended some workers and you exchanged, as has been mentioned, the promise of Marie singing at their springtime wedding for further information about those attackers. And apparently that group booked a flight through Nova Scotia to Ireland, and their itinerary included apparently advanced tickets from Imperial Airways that took them all the way to Bangkok. And apparently these arrangements were made by someone by the name of Daniel Lohman, a name none of you have heard before, living in Bangkok. Eventually, you all reunited with Frank Kearns, our pilot. You boarded the Skylance and you began your flight out to LA. At some point in the transit, Patrick, you fell asleep and you had this crazy nightmare. You were back in Joy Grove. You're snooping around like you were before, except this time the hallways were very strange. Sound was traveling oddly, and you started hearing patients calling your name. But when you went to look at these patients, you noticed that the sound was coming from these very small gnashing mouths that were not here, but instead where the eyeballs should be, except there were just these gnashing mouths. You awoke to Beverly calling your name, trying to wake you up, but when you turned to look at her, she too had her eyes replaced by these gnashing, rotting, oozing mouths. And it was then that you woke up truly as the plane touched down in Los Angeles. And that's where we're going to pick up. So we're going to kind of see a montage a little bit here as you all are kind of waking up from travel. We see Frank Kearns coming back, letting you all know what's going on. I need Patrick to roll a sand test as all of you are getting your things together, getting ready, and getting ready to deboard the Silver Lance outside the Grand Central Air Terminal in Glendale, California. So Patrick, how'd you do on that sand?
Hard success.
All right, take 1 point of sand loss, just one, as you wake up with what do you think it looks like when you truly wake up and you have this lingering memory. How does it look for Patrick when he's getting ready to deboard?
Disheveled, hair out of order, ties not tucked in, shirt's been loose, not buttoned up. Like he didn't sleep well.
And one by one, as all of you descend out of the plane or climb out of the plane, we'll say Patrick's the last one. You're hit, Patrick, by sunshine. You look up. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. Bright blue sky. It's a complete and utter shift from where you were just yesterday in Savannah, the heavy torrential rains. But here it is bright blue, and there's a gust of wind that has like a little bit of like, plane terminal gas, like runway stuff on your on the wind. But nonetheless, it is a breath of fresh air. But nonetheless, the rest of you look, and you can see Patrick, shirt untucked, looking fairly disheveled. He's normally well kept. His hair, even as a professional barber, is a little bit unkempt as well as you all step out. And Frank Kearns will follow him and will say, well, all right there, fellas, ladies, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make some arrangements now to ensure that the Skylands here is a place to stay while you go about your business in here in Los Angeles. Have any of you been here to this great city before?
Nowhere near.
Oh, you've
I've been
before,
to
Miss Wynn.
Southern California, but never quite into the city.
I see. I see. What brought you out there, Pastor? You're a revivalist group or something different?
I travel spreading the word all across the southern U.S., but some places are just a bit too urban for my liking.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I was going to say, if you're spreading the word for that, I think there's quite a few people out here who probably didn't pick up on it. So you might want to shout a little louder next time you're here. Oh, wait, you're here now. Anyhow, Miss Wynn, you said you've been here before. What brought you out west?
Oh, yes, I was actually doing a little bit of a backup singing, actually. It was a very whirlwind trip in and out. I did not get to... and she kind of takes a deep breath a bit. Yes, I didn't... Oh,
Oh, dear.
yeah, sorry. I don't know that I've spent that much time in an airplane all at once.
Well,
But
it
you
can
have
get to
some
you.
ginger ale or something like that?
Well, I think you all went through all the provisions already, but if you want to head, it kind of points you over, and you can see this, this kind of Art Deco kind of shaped building. Like the building itself looks fairly modern, but you can see these various decorations. The outside is that kind of give it it definitely is distinct from where you just came from, like old Savannah. Like you're coming here, it's like a vat. Right. It's like completely another utterly different shape. It almost looks like an alien planet for a moment. And like, I'm sure you can find something in there. Plenty of refreshments, both ginger ale and maybe something a little stronger. I would imagine they have a nice little bar in there if you're interested. And also, if you all can make your transport arrangements, I'm sure you'll be fine. If you need me, I am at a little hotel right around the corner for some of us pilots hang out called the Palm Lounge. If you ever need anything, just come on down, or you can call the front desk there. I'm sure they can find me, no problem. Old Frankie Kearns, no problem at all. Anything else y'all need from me, or are you good to go?
I believe I'm all set. Thank you, Frank. Smooth flying as always.
Oh, well, thank you there, Pastor. Good luck to y'all. Stay safe, and try not to get beat up on nothing again, okay? All right. And you see he starts climbing back into the plane, and he starts sort of taxiing the plane off to wherever it is he's going to start stowing in here. So as you all get your things together, you look around. The plane starts shifting away. You see the sort of the terminal building that he pointed you all to. What do you all do? What's your plan of attack here? Let's go through some basic business. Do you want to rent cars? Do you want to hire a driving service? Do you want to just take taxis? We don't have to get too specific with it, but what's the sort of like your general operation?
Say we rent a couple cars, see what happened to our last driver.
Agreed. I would just feel horrible if the same thing happened here and we sent some poor gentleman driver off to the hospital.
Not to mention, it became quite extravagant to pay for a driver for the entire day.
Okay. Well, you all, with your various bits of luggage, you push into this terminal building. You can tell a very modern touch. But the other thing you notice as you start moving through the echoing chamber here, there's like a mixture of like business folk. You can see people dressed in suits and ties. There's a handful of those, but there's also a not insignificant number of people that are far more casually dressed. You're seeing unbuttoned shirts, loose pants, even sandals of all things, as there definitely appears to be a casualness out here that was not immediately apparent in Savannah or where you all originated from in Arkham. Renting a car is not too difficult. You'll sort of be directed through various employees will kind of point you this way, that, so we don't have to go through all the business. 2, or is that what we're looking for? 2 rental cars? Okay. All right,
works.
fair enough. I think you all with Beverly have a high enough credit rating, and some of you have a decent credit rating otherwise, so I think you wouldn't have an issue with that. And then the next question, where are you all staying? Again, I don't want to bog it down in too much specifics, but we'll just keep it in kind of the generic. Are you looking to stay in like an anonymous motel, like on the outskirts? Are you looking to stay at sort of an average kind of middle class type of place, or are you looking to go for something like more glamorous or maybe the heart of the city or something like that? Is there a thought to that?
Well, we've rented 2 cars. I see no reason to rent rooms on top of that.
I'm sorry. What is your recommendation for our evening accommodations?
Something near the beach. Never seen the Pacific.
We could sleep in the car. It's LA. It won't get cold.
Mr. Price, seeing the beach sounds like a delight.
Would that be expensive or is that moderate or?
We'll say it's slightly more expensive. Yeah, it's if you're, as long as you're like within Beverly's credit rating, if Beverly is leading the way here, I will say this, Beverly, that you're renting multiple cars, renting multiple decent hotels, all within the same day.
Yeah.
It's probably stretching your daily limit, but it's not too bad. Like you can do it. You can do it.
Okay.
If this is an
I
extended
feel like Sugar
stay-
Mama Bev over here.
You are.
I'm
You
very-
definitely are.
Purposely not weighing in on anything that costs money.
You're probably the only one that Beverly would be like, yes, whatever you want.
Okay.
I feel like
So-
Patrick and I aren't even that broke.
Embarrassed.
We just don't want to step forward to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys are paying
So
for some stuff.
gentlemanly.
Our credit
Um,
rating's 40.
Sheva has $2 a day. That's the spending limit. That's her
That
spending
is-
limit.
Yeah, I know you have so little money as a student. It's ridiculous, but accurate.
But accurate.
but totally accurate. So we'll say then we don't have to again play all of it out. What we'll say we'll montage you all getting your cars, getting onto the road, heading out of Glendale, hitting the traffic of Los Angeles. Even back then, traffic wasn't the greatest in the world. But you can see as you're traveling, one of the things I'll say you notice is that it's a much more sprawling city than you're probably familiar with, especially from your time in Arkham and even more recently in Savannah. Like it's far more dispersed, and you can see that there's all these different municipalities and the signs and directions that you're getting both from the roadside itself, but also maybe from various attendants that you speak to at the airport or at the rental car place, like pointing you to this place or that place. You ask about hotels by the beach, and someone will reference Venice, or someone mentions like other places here and there. You notice too that the just moving through the actual terminal of the airport, it's a far more like diverse sort of population. You hear accents this way and that, like that are rather than the sort of kind of the homogeneity of like Savannah. It's far more diverse, and so it's immediately different. As you're traveling through like more of the highways and you're heading westward, because if you want to get to the beach, you have a fairly lengthy drive west southwest. couple of things you notice, that buildings are much shorter here than they are up in Arkham. Like you can see that there's sort of a kind of a smaller height to many of the places. You can see what looks like a lot of recovery, a lot of construction being done here and there, new developments being built. You can see repairs being done, and overall, like it's a decent drive because of the weather. But you would imagine if you hit any kind of terrible rain, this would be just kind of brutal. But eventually, you make it. We'll say somewhere around Venice, ish. We don't have to be too precise. Somewhere around Venice, you probably, since you're curious about the beach, you settle in. And so then the next question for you is room assignments again. I'm just kind of curious. I just want to kind of get us into a rhythm of doing this whenever we go to a new location. So are we bunking up again? Are we getting separate rooms? How are we handling this?
Ladies in
Unless
one room,
otherwise-
if that's possible.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
about the gentleman?
I'm willing to room with Pastor Wood, seeing as this is a
As long as we
combination
get
as
a
last
cheap one.
time.
Okay.
Oh, we certainly aren't.
Patrick, do you want to do another like luck test? To see
Yes,
if
I
we can
do.
get a
Hell
good, yeah, just go ahead and give you a luck test. This is like a pure luck.
Hell yes.
This is the running joke.
He's a
how
man
lucky he
used to
is.
luxury.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so close. 49 over
149.
48.
I won. Oh, that sucked.
Can't
Whereas
spend luck on luck,
Beverly-
right? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
You can't spend luck on
No.
luck, no. So
I feel like
whereas,
that's the universe proving a point.
Mhm. So close, ever so close. So Beverly has no issues being able to get a fairly nice, we'll say, suite of some kind with a waterside view. Like it's, again, we're probably not right on the beach, but like you're up high enough, a couple floors, that you can actually look out and see the ocean from the windows within your room. Patrick, as you try to angle for something similar, the two of you end up like on the first floor with like a city side room, and so you can't quite see anything. It's a decent room, don't get me wrong. Like it's a decent hotel that Beverly was able to pick out for you all, but they just don't quite have exactly what you're looking for.
And
so
as we go in this room, Pastor Wood is complaining the entire time about how extravagant it is. It's way too nice. We don't need this. We're just sleeping here at night.
They gave us bottom of the barrel. If I came in looking a bit more pristine, we could have been top of the floor.
I just can't believe the price they're asking per night. It's outrageous. It's robbery.
And so
Shama is very excitedly like going to the window, like, whoa, you can see the whole ocean. This is so much nicer than Cape Cod. Have you ever been to Cape Cod? And
I
she launches
have not
into
been to
one
Cape Cod.
time.
I am originally from the Midwest, and don't get me wrong, lakeside views are something to speak of, but it is nothing quite like the ocean.
Wow. Big eyes. Childlike
So-
wonder.
one other bit of business I do want to there's something other Steven brought up. So you all have gotten attacked. So I am kind of curious as to, for those of you with weapons, like if you are taking stuff around, like what are you taking with you? What are you leaving behind? Let's kind of keep an eye on that a little bit. You also have started to collect some items, and you know that someone was snooping in your room. So I'm kind of curious about that. Like, what are you doing with some of the kind of the clues or the items that you collect? Like, so let's, so what do we think about that? As you guys are like, who else besides Pastor Wood is going to like be carrying a weapon or something like that? Shima, you got your knuckles and everything tucked away somewhere. Perfect. Anybody else taking defensive measures?
Club specifically, I want to call it.
We have a rental car now, so that's certainly something you can throw in the trunk or in the back seat and have
Amazing.
far more easy access to it. Probably walking into like City Hall to do some records research, probably do it in the car, but like you can have it relatively accessible as you're mobile. Anybody else along those same lines?
Yeah, I'm carrying a small knife as usual.
Okay, fair enough. Marie or
I
Beverly?
would
Marie
like to-
also has a small knife.
Okay, good.
I think Beverly, you know those really tiny guns?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Like a
Like, they can
Derringer
go-
type of thing, like a little tiny.
Yeah, like the
It's not
really
Derringer.
tiny, like it can be in like a little pocket purse kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, I think they have at most 5 shots, if any.
Okay. So Beverly wants to buy a gun. I don't want to play it all out, but we'll say that with your credit rating, we'll say
It
that
might have
you're-
to wait and not be today, but
Yeah. Like, yeah, we don't know. Like, I'm not gonna nickel and dime you.
I would
completely.
gladly go with you and help you pick a good one as well.
sounds
Okay.
good to me.
So,
maybe
I would
talk
also
me
like-
into a larger.
yeah, by the time you guys get into your hotel, it's probably like the afternoon. Between the travel, between when you landed, so it is probably afternoon, middle of the week kind of deal. So you could potentially get that done before nightfall. Kind of go out, find somewhere, etc. Are there any other sort of odds and ends that you all want to do, or anything like that, and pick up maybe the next morning with like a fresh day and investigate?
I would say that
before we
Marie-
go out, I would point out my revolver is like a 6-inch barrel. It's rather large, and I've got a gun belt that goes with it.
Mhm.
And I don't want to just wear that out in public because we're in LA. So I think I would take one of the pillowcases out of our room and use some cord or something to turn it into a makeshift satchel. And I'll just keep my gun and my belt in there just across my shoulder like a hobo.
Okay. Sounds good. I think you can do that. You might get strange looks if anybody in the hotel service sees you, but otherwise, I think you're okay. And you'll probably get strange looks actually, but from anybody really that you interact with.
And
that
now
you have
I'm
a
imagining
pillowcase.
the pillowcase has like some floral print on it or something.
Yeah.
It very definitely
Of
doesn't
course.
like
Beautiful palm
lacing on
fronds and
the
such. Yeah,
edges.
it's very tropical. It's like a tropical pattern. Marie, you were going to say something.
Yeah, so Maria's going to go down to the desk, the front desk,
Sure.
and yes, sorry to bother you.
Oh, that's no
just-
problem. There. What can I do for you, young lady?
Yes, I just wanted to make a bit of a request. So we have a few of us that are staying, and she'll, kind of give the room number of the suite. And if I could request that we not get any housekeeping while we're here, if
No
that's okay.
housekeeping. Oh, wow.
Yes.
I suppose that's fine, but as they say, cleanliness is next to godliness. You dig?
Well, yes, there are 3 of us, and I'm sure we can kind of keep up with those things ourselves. Where we're just going to be in and out at all hours, and would hate to have our sleep interrupted. If that is okay.
Oh, I see. In and out at all hours. You're here on what is it? Pleasure? You're just seeing the sights, having some fun, doing the light life. Is that it?
Oh well, of course.
Oh, well, that's just wonderful. Well, sure. I'll make sure to put that down for you. No problem at all. No problem. If you change your mind, you just come on down here, and we'll make an adjustment. And if you ever need new sheets, new accoutrements and such, you just let me know. I think that's the word. I've been working on my French.
That sounds delightful. Thank you very much for your accommodation.
Well, you are most welcome. Enjoy your stay. Enjoy the City of Angels. Enjoy Venice Beach. Make sure you get on down to the boardwalk, get on down to the sand, and get a little sunshine before it gets a little too cold.
Yes. Understood. And we'll, I'm sure we'll pop back down later and take your recommendations for a nice place to grab some breakfast in the morning.
Now, I would be more than happy to provide. Of course. And you make so no service to the ladies' room. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Any other business or errands or anything like that we want to try to tackle?
So we have an assortment of things that we've uncovered so far.
That's correct.
Beverly would recommend that we get like a lockbox at a bank to keep these in, like where maybe even that we get a lockbox for the items, and then the key to that lockbox, we get a separate lockbox for that key. And then she's getting paranoid with all of this extra stuff happening, but she'll wait and see what everybody else thinks, because maybe we need to study all the stuff first before we start.
Well, Dr. Key,
Absolutely.
I do understand your concerns. Absolutely. After what happened last time. Now I've just come back from downstairs and have requested that we not have any housekeeping. So hopefully that will reduce anyone accessing our room, and we can always. I've done some traveling, and I think we can kind of jerry rig a few things to make sure that no one comes in when we've left the room. But I would, after what happened last time, I would hate to need to make a after hours exit from LA and not be able to if our things are locked up somewhere outside of our view. That might be our only recommendation. If we keep things under lock and key, that we keep it in the room with us.
That's fair. Well,
Dr. Keith, that is an excellent idea, though. One of the things that Coach does when we're on the road for wrestling trips is we have lockers that we can buy at a sports shop and just take with us. And we used to just use it for uniforms and stuff, but they're made of metal and they come with a lock.
but maybe that's all we need is just to get a lock, because we do have that metal tin that the thing came in. I don't know if we can put everything in there, but
I also recommend when you're in a city, you keep at least $1 in your shoe to avoid pickpockets.
Well, Pastor Wood, you just have the softest steps sometimes. I would think with those boots of yours, I would always be able to hear you coming, and I don't always hear you coming. That is quite the talent.
Carme is taking out her dollar and folding it and sticking it in her shoe.
So, okay. So, what was the consensus then on your because right now you really got like your Douglas Hensel items, right? You've got the notebook, you got that stone slab, you got that. Speaking of the keys, you have a safe deposit box key. So that's pretty much, I think, the items that you guys have on you. So, if you're taking specific steps to secure it, you just let me know what they are. Otherwise, if you're just keeping them on them, just let me know who's carrying things, that kind of stuff. And every now and then we'll check in, especially if we're like split and people are going different places. Okay. So what we'll say then is you all spend the afternoon doing various things. So Pastor Wood, Beverly, you head out. You spend some time traveling around looking for shops and things anywhere you might be able to get some self-defense items. Marie and Shima, Patrick, just big picture. We don't have to play it all out, but what would we say you guys did for like the rest of the afternoon to the evening? It can be personal, or it can be something related to the investigation. Like, so it's sort of up to you all. Like, what would the three of you be doing this afternoon?
I'd get a map and sort of circle locations that are hotspots we need to go to.
Okay.
Even a couple sightseeing spots personally. Like, I want to go here.
That's actually something I wanted to do as well to help with this. Cause, I can't help with the car part of it, but I can help with the map navigation. So I'd love to work with Patrick to not just figure out sort of where things are, but routes from our hotel. So let's spend some time with the map with Patrick.
All right. Well, I would say the two of you, if you go, getting a map, not difficult. I would say the two of you, the three places that you would probably note relative to your investigation. Long Beach, as you know, that was apparently the location of the bank that this safe deposit box key that you have from Douglas Henslow was associated with. That was the first bank of Long Beach, is what he told you. The second thing you would probably mark is UCLA, as you know that based upon your conversations with Edgar Job, he was recruited into this Echeverria cult by a professor, supposedly, at UCLA. So you might mark that as well. And then you vaguely, you would just sort of mark out there's sort of North Country kind of farmland. You don't have a specific place, but you know that based upon the story that you heard from Douglas Henslow, the story that you heard from Edgar Job, that summoning where everything went to shit, like everything, people started dying and everything kind of got blown up at that point, was somewhere on a farm north of the city. And so like you kind of have like a vague idea of where that kind of country might spread, but you don't know specifically anything about the farms. That's probably the three things, Patrick, if you were looking at whatever it is that might be related. And then Marie, was there anything you wanted to do in the afternoon here?
I think probably she would, being kind of the artsy type, take a look at the beach and the folks around and the shoreline and all that good stuff. I'm sure there's inspiration for a song here.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I mentioned before, like when you head down there, you definitely see that there is, as you're heading out, sunset actually. So you would probably be there for sunset, which is just an absolutely gorgeous and beautiful view. People walking up and down, boardwalk, sand, etc. But also you can see it out in the water, various boats from the sail variety. But even further out, you can see more kind of industrial shipping type boats on the horizon that are slowly moving past here and there. If at any point you like go up to the waters, kind of cool. It is October ish. So it's going to be, the water itself isn't going to be the warmest. But yeah, I would say you probably have a relaxing sort of state here and there. And so we'll say at some point you all reconvene, you kind of get your items. We'll say you maybe hit the local area for some food, or you hit maybe the hotel itself has its own restaurant. And maybe we get started early the next morning with your kind of first full day in Los Angeles, kind of ready to pursue. So with that in mind, what do you guys want to do? So we'll say the next morning, everyone wakes up, nothing crazy, no weird dreams, no one breaks into your room. It's a fresh day. Everyone's got, your bruises are yellowing and healing. Your cuts are beginning to mend. What do you guys want to do in LA?
Oh, sorry, Jeff. I'm just remembering, just looking at my notes. Can we have a fourth location marked on the map, which is the bank?
That's what I said. The Long Beach was. So
the Long Beach. Okay, I'm sorry. I must have misheard.
Yeah. You don't know the specific address for the bank. You just know it's the first bank of Long Beach. So that's why I put down.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I misheard you.
And if you're looking at our map in LA, for those of you in Foundry, Long Beach is literally just off the map. It's like right next to like right south of like Hermosa and like Redondo, in that area. So it's literally right there at the very edge of the map.
That is just redondolous.
And thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next week. Without Steven.
We're just gonna go pull the plug in the power this time.
There's a reason I keep cutting out early session after session.
Just booting you.
Jeff just has Leah's number on speed dial, and he's like, pull the plug.
Mm-hmm. Tie a couple cinder blocks to his ankles, throw him in the water.
Amazing.
So
early
Marie
morning,
would
the day is whatever it is you want to do. You tell me.
Yeah, Mr. Price, it seems like you were, while I was off daydreaming and coming up with some new ditties that I might play at this wedding, perhaps, in the spring. It looks like you were hard at work with this map. Do you have a plan for our travels today?
Yeah, Simon and I have circled out some locations here. We've got the bank, UCLA, in this giant area in the north. Who knows what's up here? But I say
it's a place called San Francisco. No.
We do have this key, and we can just head to the bank, find out what it is. It's our only tangible object we have.
I agree. That sounds like the best first step.
I was also thinking one of us or two could separate and go to City Hall or to some records and see if we can find backlogged papers about events happening in the 1929, I believe.
24?
24.
I believe.
24 is the big year that's been referenced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Newspapers, perhaps, or libraries. I agree. Going through some records would be useful.
Can help go through records.
So City Hall, Public Recorder's Office. You literally could go to like the offices of the LA Times and actually see if you can gain access to some of their archives. Like these are things that you could potentially do. If for those of you who are big into kind of library archive exploration. Those are all 3 places you could potentially find info. Criminal stuff, I mean, you might obviously find like newspaper headlines, sure, but you also could, if anybody has an inkling, you could always try to speak with like the police, law enforcement, etc. That's a little trickier, obviously, because you'd probably want to have connections. So they're not just going to necessarily talk to any random person, but you never know. So those are things that are definitely on the table for basic research.
Awesome.
Other
Yeah.
ideas?
I think Beverly would love to try the LA Times office first.
Shama's definitely joining Dr. Key.
Okay.
It's the
One
talking
car.
and the getting.
One car, we have Beverly and Shima so far. There's 2 cars.
I'll go
We'll say
ahead
one
and
is
go
Beverly
with
Shima.
Dr. Key and Miss Oberon.
Okay, then. Do Marie and Patrick go off separately?
To the bank, yes.
Go to the bank. Yeah.
Okay. So the 2 of you will be traveling for a decently long time. Long Beach is basically the southern tip of the county. So it's going to be a relatively lengthy day for you all in terms of travel. The rest of you'll have some more flexibility, as you don't necessarily have to go too far, but you will probably at some point go like downtown LA, kind of get into sort of City Hall area. Fantastic. So as you all split up, you go in separate directions. We've already mentioned what you are taking for defense. I'm assuming, unless you tell me otherwise, that you have your special items like in the trunk or on you or something like that. Yeah, we'll start then with Shima and Beverly and with Pastor Wood. Do you want to go to like the offices of the LA Times? Do you want to go to the city hall, or do you want to go to like a public recorder's office?
I'm down for any. Do you have any preference, Shima?
My instinct is to go to the public library so that we can kind of just pour through stuff without being interrupted.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
happy to be of use with any sort of menial task you assign me to. However, I do specialize in law enforcement, and I feel that I'd be more useful when it comes to government resources.
Maybe if we find anything of that ilk, you can provide and shed some more light on it.
Very well.
So then-
Library first.
Okay. Well, what if we stop by an official office first, and then if we can get copies, take that with us to the library, and then review there?
One or the other. I suppose it doesn't matter too much.
Okay. Yeah. Then we'll just do the
You go to the
then.
library, then you have more information to go to a police station with.
True. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, well, why don't Shima and Beverly, I guess, well, I mean, you can do it too, I guess, Pastor, I was just assuming. Library use would probably be the preferred skill if we're just kind of going through archives. Public archives is essentially what we're going through here. And
Sorry, can you remind me what audience dice does?
plus
in
10
this?
to a roll.
Plus 10.
Plus 10 to your target.
I'd
like-
like to use 1, please.
So,
I would
go ahead.
love it if I'm the only one that succeeds on this roll. That would just make me so happy.
Oh,
No, I
Shima,
failed.
no!
I
Shiva!
super failed with a 92.
Oh,
my
no.
So I got an extreme success. My
Oh my
library use is
God,
50 and I rolled a
actually-
14.
You actually were the only one who succeeded.
I manifested it. I'm so happy.
Dr. Key succided too.
I passed.
Yeah,
I
she
passed.
succeeded.
So,
Amazing.
topics wise,
Amazing.
hard,
Beverly,
even. Hard success.
Beverly, what would you be looking into? Like, what is like subject wise? Like, what are you interested in?
So in the library.
Again, this is like public information, so it's think about it in those terms. So, like, what would you be looking into?
So public info, because I wouldn't be able to look up death records or anything in the library.
I mean, some play when we say library, I am not necessarily thinking like public library card. I'm just thinking public records. So whether it's an actual library or whether it's just a a public recorder's office. Like, I'm giving you kind of the.
Okay.
I'm just sort of hand waving it, saying it's all together.
We have names of people who did pass in this event. So that's going to be what Beverly focuses on, is she's going to be looking for anything pulling those names during that time frame in 1924 to help try and narrow that location that we have down.
Okay. So you got one success, or you just got regular success. Did you want to spend any luck to make that a hard success?
How much would that need to be?
Remember that a hard success
7.
is basically half. So you would need a 30 to get it down to a 35. So just 7. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's not bad. I'll spend 7.
Okay. So
Nice.
I'll tell you this, because you did that, I have something to share with you. A name pops out. Now, one of the things you notice very quickly and clearly is that there isn't really any, like when you look up some of the names, this is taking hours, right? You look up some of the names of like folks from Douglas's group, and you don't really see anything to suggest that there's some kind of, I would say, accurate documentation. Nothing that kind of corroborates the strange tales of this bloody, terrible massacre. Like, all of it that's popping up, like the deaths of certain people, aren't being described the way that you see them with Douglas Henslow and Edgar Jobe's stories. Like Vincent Stack, you don't really get any notes that he like was sort of torn apart or obliterated or anything like that. You don't hear anything about the Catherine Clark getting her getting to sort of decapitated, or anything. You don't get any of those types of deals. Like, that's not popping up in like any kind of public records view. But one thing you do get with your hard success is you actually come across a name that the timing of it just works really well. When you look up like the name Echeverria, there's just so many, and like trying to track it down. But when you kind of cross-reference it with 1924 and a death, you actually come across an obituary for a man by the name of Ramon, which was one of the names that Edgar said it might be his first name. He was kind of cagey a little bit on the first name. A philanthropist specifically. So I think I shared that with you. Hopefully you got it. Did you get it,
Hold
Ashley?
up the letters, the handout. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and give that a read.
All right. So Ramon Echeverria, philanthropist, Los Angeles, received yesterday. Mr. Ramon Echeverria, a longtime resident of Southern California, and most recently of the Highland Park neighborhood, passed away on the evening of August 13th in an incident of regrettable violence. Although survived by no direct kin, Mr. Echeverria will be mourned by the many communities that his acts of charity and outreach have affected for so many years. The proceeds from the sales of his estate will be donated to a variety of charities. This is dated August 15th, 1924.
And this was hours of research, because
Okay.
there's another Echeverria, but then like when you start going through some newspaper records and you look at the dates and like dates from 1924, going through the obits because you were specifically thinking of articles about people's death, this popped up, and it seems to kind of align with the general dates that you were given from the two people that you interrogated back in Joy Grove. Let's kick it over to Pastor Wood. Pastor Wood, what subjects were you looking into?
Well, then I would say let's kick it back to Dr. Beverly Key, because I would have gone after whatever subject she put me upon.
No, you can pick.
Ashley's like, you make the decision there, buddy.
I suppose you said that she was kind of going towards the incident from August 13th already, so like we wouldn't be able to find much upon that.
You tell me, what is it you're looking for? You just tell me what you're looking for.
How about drug production in the year 1924? If there are any strange drug busts, if there's been any sort of relation to the cult and their drugs.
Yeah, like an uprising of a different type of drug coming into the area.
You I'll say this: you do, and if that's specifically what you're looking for, you do notice that there are some various stories popping up here and there. None with names of people that seem connected to like the names that you have, but you see various stories, usually kind of like the like any sort of Vice reporter might reference of like overdoses, people kind of having like a greater or more sort of, I would say, violent or extreme decay than some others. Most of what you're seeing, though, they seem to sort of assume it's something to do with like opium, heroin, but it definitely, you're definitely noticing like there's an increase of it. There's also references when you see this drug trade to the Akone family, which is a sort of a LA mafia group that seems to have kind of risen, and there's been some sort of back and forth over the years in the 20s in terms of them being potentially involved, but like there's also all these stories where people are within the Akone family are just saying like, we're not involved in this. This is not our trade. So I would say that's what you're kind of seeing. You're not getting any. I would say like your general idea is that there was certainly an increase, but there wasn't anything about a new drug. But there's more. It was just essentially assumed to be like a more extreme or a more potent strain of existing drugs. Okay. So think about that for a bit. Let's cut over to Marie and Patrick. We'll say that your drive down towards Long Beach is quite enjoyable in some ways as you're traveling down the coast a bit. You're going through some neighborhoods and some smaller municipalities that are quite beautiful, probably, and much different than what you're probably accustomed to. You're seeing all manner of palm trees and sunshine and people actually smiling every now and then on the street is sort of alarming. But then you get down to Long Beach itself. I need one of you to go ahead and roll a library use, or if you wanted to just you're trying to find like the actual location of the Long Beach bank. You can either roll like a library use to sort of check some sort of like public record service in Long Beach, or you can kind of ask around if you wanted to do some sort of social thing, just like stop at a diner and just kind of ask. You can do that too. That's either one of those approaches would probably be fine.
Marie would literally just roll down the window to anybody when we're stopped at a red light and just be like, "Oh, hello, sir. Could you point me in the direction of the First Bank of Long Beach?"
Okay. Give me a luck test, actually.
Okay. That's a 38 under 55.
So you roll your window down, you pull up alongside, and you see a guy coming out of a shop, and he's got a bag in his hand, and is like he's got like a young daughter in the other hand as they're coming out of some sort of like candy shop, and you just ask him, and he's like, I'm sorry there, ma'am. That's I think that place. Yeah, I think that's the place that shut down a few years ago after the quake. Yeah, it did.
Oh, you don't say that. Originally from the Midwest, we don't deal with quakes so much. That's such a pity.
Oh, I hear you got your own problems to deal with out there. Tornadoes, storms, that kind of thing?
Yes. Indeed we do. But,
I can't imagine the sky opening up and just whipping around and taking roofs off places. We got the earth. The earth just starts to shake and quake, and we just shuffle around a bit. But, sometimes the buildings come down and tumble, and sometimes you do too. But anyhow...
They both do come up with little warning, but this bank, it's quite distressing. Can you point me in the direction of where it had been?
Sure. And he's like, I think that's over. It's about 3 or 4 blocks that way. You can still see the building there. No one's replaced it. I think there's just some vagrants and such that have squatted down inside there. And look for the place that's got all the scaffolding and such on it. They never quite fixed it here or there. A few years ago, they started renovating a lot of the buildings around the city here, making sure that they were quake-proof if such a thing exists. They never quite got to that one. Bank owe you money? Is that the problem? Because if that's the case, well, and he's like,
well,
honey, earmuffs. And you see like his daughter puts hands on other side of his, because there's a snowball's chance in hell that you're going to see a penny from them. I can tell you that. It's hard times for banks everywhere, I'm sure you know, but that quake, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, I can tell you that. I'm not sure if you heard that one before.
Well, yes. So unfortunately, money being the fickle thing that it is could possibly be replaced, but it was actually something in a safe deposit box in the bank that I'm trying to recover for a family member.
Sorry, sir, the light's green.
You just drive off. You're like, it's gonna. And then you guys drive away. Do you literally drive away? He was like,
yeah, she's talking too much.
Okay.
You just make a right and turn around the corner.
All right. So
I imagine Marie would have totally ignored if there was honking happening behind us. So I imagine it was sort of the 1930s little ooga kind of car horns that were happening. And
Marie's hanging out the door, still trying to talk.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Roll a dex check to see if you hold on or if you fall underneath the car and just thump. Now you have to make a new character. Okay, so you drive off. Patrick, where do you go? You just drive off. This poor, very informative man. What do you do?
Just try to follow that guy's directions as best as I can. He's
sure
pointed in whatever direction.
Yeah, so you head a couple blocks away. You kind of drive around a little bit, and you do notice eventually that there is. You do find this kind of damaged brick building that has these cracked stone steps. And you can see looks to be some kind of scaffolding and such that's been fixed up around. It's not in a great little grouping of neighborhoods. You can tell that whatever group it was in certainly suffered a bit. You notice that in kind of inscribed in this dirtied up granite, it does in fact say First Bank of Long Beach, and there are some boarded up front doors as well. You can see some of the windows as well are boarded up, and he wasn't wrong. There definitely seems to be a small population of kind of squatters and such that you can see kind of moving about in the area.
These squatters probably feel like they own the place. Might give us some trouble.
Well, I suppose everyone needs to find a place to lay their rest. Pastor Wood was recommending that we sleep in our cars. We would have been exactly, well, not I meant that to sound more understanding than that came out. But, I wonder if that gentleman could have given us a little bit more information about what they've done with things that were in the bank. Had we carried on that conversation with him?
He's just a patron.
So, as you two are sitting there arguing in the car, you hear a little rap on the door next to you, Patrick. And when you look out, you see a woman, colorfully dressed with very aggressive makeup, and she's like, "Well, hey there, friend. You look a little lost. Anything I can help you with?" And she just kind of leans down.
We aren't lost at all.
Oh well, I just saw you and your old lady here having a little bit of argument. Why don't you just run along there, ma'am, and I'll see if I can help your boy out.
Oh no, I believe
runs
there's
a finger over your ear a little bit.
Oh, I believe there's been some misunderstanding. I'm not his old lady.
Well, then get out. Girl's trying to work.
Yes.
Sorry, darling, but I'm taken.
Oh, taken by this thing? Oh, you can do so much better, sweetheart.
I don't think the Mr. Hare follows the different zip code, everything's okay kind of rule. This is a good one here. But she will kind of take out.
Darling,
yes.
Was I talking to you? I wasn't. Gosh.
Well,
what a
I am
mouth on
actually
her.
the one that
Can't
has a
believe
few
you having to
dollars
deal with this.
in my fingers. So I actually was wondering if I might ask you a question, and perhaps you could still make something on this exchange.
She looks at you. She looks at the driver. She looks at Patrick driving. Looks back to you. Marie, roll a test for us. It's not going to be charm, unfortunately. That's out the window for you.
Persuade?
I would be okay with persuade. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right. Let's see how this goes. That's it. 27 under 70.
Okay. She takes a look at how. What's your credit score? Credit rating?
30.
She takes a look at that. Well, I'll tell you, you put one or two more of those into that little gnarled hand of yours, and then maybe we got ourselves a deal.
Well, that is just a bit rude, but I suppose one will have to do it because, I mean, you're not getting anything from this one, so you should count yourself lucky that it was not an entire waste of your time. But yes, and so she'll add one more of whatever the bill was.
She reaches across and she kind of like leans into the car and kind of presses herself a little bit against Patrick and grabs the money. And as she rakes it past, she like very carefully, you can tell she's sort of caressing your cheek as she does so. Excuse me. So what was your question?
So we understand that this used to be a bank.
I'm waiting
Do
on a
you
question.
Have any information as to...
Not very bright, this old lady of yours, is she?
You got any friends in there?
Friends, sure. Maybe here or there. But don't worry, you want to be one of my friends?
If you could help me in there, certainly can.
What do you want inside there? There's just nothing but ruin and rubble. And a bunch of people that have nowhere better to go. No, you're way too good for that place there, sweetheart.
Something personal. Something left behind.
If you want to go inside, you can go inside. No one's going to stop you. The front doors might be boarded, but there's plenty of other ways inside. But there ain't much in there, like I said. Anything of any kind of value that used to be inside, well, they came and picked that clean a couple years ago.
We're just going to have a look ourselves.
Any other official folks that might have come and taken anything to a different location?
Well, there was that federal corporation. Can't remember the name of it. A few years back, everyone lined up around the corner, tried to come over here and get the things out and get all their money. Bank it plumb ran out after the quake. And then they kind of moved all their things. Took everything that wasn't nailed down and they dropped it in some old government warehouse over in Signal Hill, I think. Is that really what we're going to talk about? Federal this, government that, bank this. You seem so much more interesting. And again, she just does this like finger down the side of your cheek. Patrick.
Very flattering, miss, but we've got obligations.
An obligation. You can put it off every now and then for an hour or two, can't you?
Certainly, but not today.
Are we
Set up an
hiking
appointment for
our way
tomorrow, then.
inside there, Mr. Price?
What's at it?
All right, well, if you just go around down that alleyway, you're going to see a window wide open as can be. But like I said, you're not going to find anything in there that you're looking for. Anything that was of value has long since been pulled up and put elsewhere. But if you want your old lady to lead you by the leash, you go right ahead. She gets up and she kind of fixes her eyes a little bit in the reflection in your car. I'll see you tomorrow, sweetheart. And she turns around and just starts kind of strutting away. And she like looks over once and then back again and continues. Okay. So you guys think about that. We'll cut back to our research crew. Things are getting a little hot in here. So you've got a couple little odds and ends. What would you guys want to do next? What are you looking to do next? What are you looking into?
I want to look into UCLA a little bit and maybe George Ayers.
Okay. That's probably something you would have to go to UCLA for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which you could conceivably do if you wanted, but yeah, that's not something you just randomly find somewhere else.
Yeah. What about you guys?
If I wanted to look up more about this, was it Ikone family?
Sure.
Would I be able to do that here, or would I have to?
It's 1936. Like you're not. It's not like the historians of the mafia are really at work just yet. So like they're literally active. So the
Would
best
I be
place
able
to start asking questions would be like law enforcement if you really wanted to poke into that more.
Or maybe like business licenses that might be associated with them, that kind of thing? Would I be able to look into?
Again,
Public records.
Yeah, public records stuff. Like, yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That sounds like something.
Again, you guys told me
might
you're
have
at the
to get
library.
gossip.
I'm like public library. We're looking up things. That's like, yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
So did you want to go to a different location then?
Yeah,
I'm
I
following your
feel
lead.
super hard on the whole here, and I'm sort of carrying that over to just generally being mostly useless at this location.
Well, the coffee you
That's
bought
cool.
was great, so don't get too hard on yourself. That was very useful.
So you guys want to go to UCLA or to like a more like official?
UCLA is fine.
Okay,
Other things
yeah.
you could do in this location, like you did, you have an obit for Echeverria. You could potentially you have that, like you have a date of death and everything. You could potentially dig in and see if you can find out any more information about him, like public records, things like that, businesses, tax records, stuff like that could potentially pop up. What else could you do? Yeah, that's probably another thing you could potentially do.
Might as well just continue to dig into that while we're here.
Okay.
If that's cool with you guys, or do you guys want to do something else?
You are
that
the
works.
research lead.
Okay. So Beverly, I'm not going to ask you to do another roll. You already got a hard success. If you kind of continue following the thread for Ramon Echeverria, you've got the obit. You have that. You are able to find, I guess, probably two more things. You would be able to find out that first, he has a gravestone in the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale. So that's one thing. So you know where he's buried, so to speak. The other thing is that with doing some sort of backtracking, and when it references like Highland Park in the obit, again, I'm sort of suggesting you're kind of doing this in sort of reverse order. You're like reverse engineering some of this. Mentions his date of death, mentions Highland Park neighborhood with those extra little bits of cross-referencing. You would be able to find out that he, like an actual address that was once linked as his home. So you would have an actual address to him. If you start digging into like tax records and things like that, if you're near City Hall or if you're in the LA County Recorder's Office, go ahead and give me like an accounting roll. Would probably be useful if you have it. Yeah, accounting would be great.
Let's wish me luck.
Take a boost.
Yeah, I'll take a boost.
Okay.
Still fail 54.
You can spend luck still if you would like.
That is a lot.
Is it a boost to
It's-
35 or is it a boost to 25?
If she took a boost and
Well,
you needed
just to-
35, you needed to hit
Yeah,
a
so
35.
we-
Oh,
Spend
So it's
19.
19 points of luck.
yeah, I'll spend 19.
Okay. So what I'll say then is that you are able to find two things. You will find, first of all, that you can find his information about him in the tax roll. And so it definitely, you notice that 1924, he stops appearing in the tax rolls. So either confirming he died, you have his obit. And according to these records, he bought that Highland Park property, the address that you now have, in 1908. But then you also notice that he bought farmland in 1922, north of the city. Again, you have an address for that. His taxes, he's paying all of it on time, in full, etc. And then one thing you notice as you're going through this is that starting about 1918 and until for about 5 years after that, it wasn't his name that was on his tax documents. Like, so from, for the first 10 years in which he was sort of paying taxes on these properties, or at least on his Highland Park property, he was filing it. Around 1918 and up until 1923, it looks as though there was somebody else that was filing the taxes on his behalf. And so it looks like you have a name, Abraham Buchwald, or Buchwald, however you want to. And I'll say one last thing you get is that his, it looks as though his estate was auctioned off shortly after his death. And you do have the name of the auction services, Magnificent Villa Auction Services. All right. And I will say this is like lengthy.
Yeah, this is like my whole day.
This is like literally the whole day of like pulling this tax roll, cross-referencing this, spending an hour realizing you had the wrong Echeverria, and then kind of moving over to this one and realizing, that's not Highland Park, that's Inglewood. So like you're kind of moving around.
Can we say that that's Shiba's failure? Is that you just keep fucking up?
Here's a different Echeverria. Like here's Art.
Yeah,
found an Art Echeverria. I'm like, that's Roberta Echeverria. That's not right. Okay.
That really is so nice every time.
She's so kind about it, and Shiba is just almost in tears by the end of the day.
So what you get? So just to recap, you have addresses for his previous home in Highland Park. You have an address for the farmland that was in his name up until 1923. You have a name of what you presume is probably his accountant, at least for 5 years, who filed his taxes. And you have a name for the auction services company that auctioned off his estate. And you have the name of the cemetery where he's buried. I would say that's a big chunk of stuff.
Yeah.
And I would say you guys probably have like one more kind of task you could probably get done maybe in the light of day. Before you kind of run out of time for business hours. So think about that. We have a Discord. We have a chat. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to kick it back and flirt with Long some more. So right in front of Melissa too.
Right in front of Steven. Wow.
I'm the only one that's jealous here.
Yeah. There hasn't been love in our relationship for a very long time. Melissa knows this. All right. We cut back. We're in Long Beach. The two of you just got some information about the site, this Long Beach bank that is no longer in service. It's been out of service since around 33 or so, or just shortly thereafter. She said that stuff was moved to a federal factory, a federal warehouse in a different neighborhood over in Signal Mountain. Signal Hill. What do you guys want to do? What do the two of you want to do?
I'd like to take a look inside. So I'll climb through the window she pointed out.
Yeah, and no one stops you. Like this place, it's not like there's people guarding it. It's not like there's security. Nothing like that is here. So you climb in this window, and everything that she told you, and you didn't even get her name, by the way. That was very rude. But as you climb in, you notice that everything she said is true. Like the place looks picked clean. There's scaffolding here and there, inside, but you can see all manner of damage left over, probably from the quake in 33, unrepaired. Some of it seems to be like in the midst of repair. You notice that a lot of stuff has been broken down. There's little camps here and there that people have set up, like little places where they're sleeping. Like these little corners have been taken, little booths here and there. And just generally speaking, it is there's a smell to it. As you step inside, you can definitely, it has like a staleness to it, but also there's a smell of smoke and such, and you can see a few people have like a tiny little like fire going, or a candle or such here or there for light. So what is it you're looking to do inside here, Patrick?
Have a search around, see if the vaults are open, if any signs of the deposit box are still lingering.
Yeah, you move around, and there are some vaults left over and like rooms left over, but every time you go into them, you can see everything's been pulled off the walls. Some of the walls have been stripped down to the studs. You can see people probably scavenge through them for various metals and other supplies and tools and things. And as you move through with certainty, there's nothing in here. This is a carcass of a bank. Like it's just sort of it's just sort of an empty place. You can kind of see the basic contours of a bank, but like there's nothing here to really suggest that there's anything of value left. Even a lot of the tools and equipment that have been left behind have been taken away. And every now and then you get like a strange eye from one of the people sitting in here, looking at you here and there. Like they see you poke into a room. They're like, "You ain't gonna find nothing in there, buddy. It's been picked clean." And you like go into a different room. It's like, you don't want to go in there. Boyle's gonna be really upset. That's where he sleeps. You don't want to go in there. And so things like that kind of pop up as you start moving around.
Did we have a number of the safe deposit box? Like I know we had the name of the bank and I know we had the key. Do we have a number to the box?
We'll say like there's a number on the key itself.
Okay. One thing that I'm not sure if it would be, just trying to get the sense if this was like one of the small narrow boxes or if this was sort of a large size box. If there might be able to kind of, when we go to the next place, kind of get a sense of like how much may have been inside.
It was not one of the it was not an oversized box. It was pretty standard size. So it would probably hold like he said he had collected some. So Douglas Enzo, being he, had collected some of the things that were of relevance during their 24 investigation. He put it inside, but you don't get the sense that this is like an overly large box now.
Place is picked clean, Marie.
Mr. Price, I do believe that she spoke the truth. I just realizing now that I forgot to get her name. That's so rude of me. But it appears that she was speaking truth. Some folks have made this their home, and I don't think there's anything worthwhile left here.
Let's go find where they've taken them to.
Okay. You get pointed in the direction of Signal Hill. It's not that far away. It's in the same city. It's just a different neighborhood, and you drive around for a bit, and eventually, like if you do the same strategy that you did before, and just ask this person, this random person, that random person, like you eventually will kind of get pointed in this direction. You can see that there is a fairly plain, nondescript looking warehouse surrounded by fence. You got chain link on some sides, you got boards on the other. You can see that like the fences sort of shares kind of a side with another warehouse. All of it's fairly unremarkable. There's nothing about it. Low building, tin roof, handful of garage doors here and there clustered at one end that you can see there's like some cars and trucks that you would imagine kind of enter and leave to load or unload things. It's like 200 by 100 feet or so in size. You do notice, we'll say it's still daytime for you guys. So it's still business hours. You definitely see that the main entrance into that is not fenced. There is a gate there. There is a security box, a booth. So there's definitely somebody who is working there as well. And I'll say that if you take a few minutes to like peek around, there's other people moving about. So it's certainly active and open right now. So with that in mind, what do you two want to do?
Yeah, is it sort of like a walk-in place? Do we drive our car to like a gate that opens?
It is a federal government warehouse. It is not like a storage unit a la our Delta Green games. It is not we store you. It is a federal. So basically, like, this is a place where a federal agency took all of the belongings that were in a federal bank and moved them to a federal warehouse. So this is all kind of above board. This isn't like just people storing their own personal property. This is somebody like claimed the items of a bank because they couldn't pay off their debts, is essentially what it is.
So we're looking for something that looks sort of like, where would we go talk to somebody if that's a like a front office, front door kind of a location?
There is one very clear entrance. There's a security booth there. There's definitely, that's where any sort of, if you're there for an hour, you might see one vehicle come and go. It's not like a super active place, but there's definitely people working there. But yeah, you can certainly go up to that booth for sure.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Hello there, ma'am. Can I help you?
Yes. So we are looking for the contents of a safe deposit box that had been at the First Bank of Long Beach. And we understand after the quake that those items that had been recovered were relocated here. Did we get our information correct?
Well, that sounds accurate. Yes, indeed. I'm afraid to say, though, I can't let you inside unless you have a federal ID or if you've received permission from someone at the FDIC first to ensure that you have proper proper identification and such. This is not a kind of a walk up and go in sort of place. So what you want to do is you want to head over to and so he starts kind of giving you this whole sort of instructions. He's like, you want to head over to the federal building. You can find the offices for the FDIC in there. You can go inside. You can speak with some of the officials there. They'll be able to get you situated. And they can confirm the legitimacy of your key and then make arrangements. You can have them call over. And if everything's on the up and up, we can pull the box out for you. Or in some cases, if there's time sensitive, we can ship it on over to the federal building. But until we get some proper proof, go through proper procedures, we can't just let you in. Very sorry to say.
Understood. I do have to ask. It just, oh dear, that just sounds like so much paperwork ahead, and I would hate to go through all of that just to find out that the deposit box was not recoverable. Is there any way to just provide a number? Because if you say, oh yes, well that we didn't recover anything from that, then I can, my goodness, save myself a whole afternoon of paperwork.
Well, that's a little unorthodox.
I'm certainly not trying to say you should let us in. I just want to know if it was destroyed, and I shouldn't even bother going over there because there's just nothing to find.
Okay. I understand your request. Oh, and he sees like kind of, you could tell he's like, this is not something he's supposed to do. Marie, go ahead and roll a charm, maybe, I suppose. You're being very polite. Or persuade. Persuade, I think, is also fine, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're
everything you just said was entirely
skills.
Reasonable. So nothing, I don't think anything you said is like fast talk. Yeah, it seems pretty
yeah,
reasonable.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
It literally sounds like an afternoon of paperwork that I would prefer to avoid if it's just, that is a hard success, 31 under 70.
Sure, I suppose I can ask someone to go do it. One moment, please. Just if you want, you can pull your vehicle. There's places to park right there along the road. And if you just want to wait here one moment, I'll see if I can get someone to get eyes on the box just to confirm it.
Oh, that's delightful. I'm so appreciative of you taking the time.
So you see him step away. And like in the distance, you can see as he's walking past one of these open garage doors, he kind of calls out and waves, and you can see one of these like warehouse workers, is definitely a laborer, kind of hops down, and they kind of go over and like they're talking, and like he kind of points back to you, and like there's kind of a exchange here and there, and then eventually like he goes, and they sort of separate. The security guy comes back, and he's like, okay, he's gonna go ahead and he's gonna take a look for you, but I'm so very sorry. Most folk who wanted to claim things, they, claimed things years ago. It's been a while here. We had a whole problem every now and then from that time period.
Yes, it's just a long and dreadful family story that I don't necessarily want to bore you with all of the details. But we just have a relative that no longer has his faculties about him, and we learned about this safe deposit box that he had gotten last time he was in California. So we were not even aware that it existed until very recently.
I'm so very sorry to hear that you and your brother, was it he's kind of looking over towards Patrick.
Cousin.
That you and your cousin, is it like one of your fathers, grandfather, something like that? Uncle. I'm so sorry. That's just how it is sometimes. It's age. It happens. My mother.
And the mind just goes sometimes. Oh yes. Oh dear, you sound like such a good son.
Shares way too much. And at a certain point, you see the laborer guy comes up, and he's up 1 second. And they kind of exchange here and there, and he comes back. Well, you're in luck. We do in fact have a box. It does seem to be in good condition. Hasn't been opened. You're gonna need to, like as I said, and he kind of goes through the process again. I wish I could be of more assistance, but I'm sorry, I can't, due to regulations, release the contents.
Oh no, the fact that you would take the time to make sure that we would know if his belongings were still safe and sound, that just means the world.
Well, I imagine I'll be seeing you then later this week, perhaps.
Yes, as long as it takes for that paperwork to get processed.
Well, it sort of depends who you talk to over there, and they can. Some folks are a little bit more expedient than others, but I will look forward to our meeting again.
Willing to name names if we were going to stand in a certain individual's line that might process this a little faster?
Well, everything kind of gets funneled this way or that, but it's really just really not Marv's in a good mood. Burlington, he's the one who sort of oversees the accounts here. I'm not friends or anything with him. It's just we've spoken before on the phone. He's called in every now and then to get us a box ready. Similar situation as to this.
It's a good mood if he's had his coffee and pastry in the morning.
Well, I certainly don't think Marv's too big for a very small and very modest bit of bribery like that. Of course, grease the wheels, so to speak. I think that'd be fine. Honestly, it really depends. He's been going through all sorts of problems lately. Like there's the paperwork itself is just, and then we've had some thefts here and there as well. You wouldn't believe people actually try to break in here and steal other people's belongings and things. So it's just
how rude.
Indeed. Well, anyhow, Miss, I hope you and your cousin have a great rest of your day. Good luck to you. I hope to see you later in the week.
Yes, you as well, Mr. And she'll look to see if he's got like a name tag or...
It says Bud. White. Call me Bud.
Bud. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, guys, that's on our way.
All right. Was there anything you wanted to do, though, long before we cut back to the others?
I want to take note of the vehicles parked in this lot, kind of go on the cheaper side of the employees.
Give me a spot hidden. Did you turn your picture upside down, by the way? If you look on our Foundry landing page, did you turn yours upside down?
I didn't do anything.
Who's messing around? Who's being?
I got 83 and failed. Let me see if I can pass this with luck.
Sure, if you want to.
Steven.
I love that you thought that was Patrick's picture because I'm happy for him to take the fall for it.
Oh, my bad.
Let's see. 23, 33.
It would be
38.
38, yeah. Okay.
To pass it.
Okay, so you're going to notice then that there are currently there's two larger vehicles like wagon van types, sort of trucks, etc. And what looks like probably two smaller vehicles like regular cars, sedans, which you've seen there. We'll say you've been there maybe an hour, and they've never left. Maybe a truck came up, and like that's the only time you've ever seen a car kind of go through or not. One thing catches your eye though. At a certain point, as you're watching, maybe as you're kind of slow driving around, you do notice that there is a large truck backed up to a far gate, and you can see there's these two guys they definitely don't look like they're dressed like laborers. Like the guy that you saw who was talking to the security man who Marie was speaking with, he kind of had on like coveralls, was sweaty, etc. These two guys, as you notice, they're a little nicer dressed. And you can see that they're loading some stuff up here and there into the back, small boxes and things like that. And one of these like warehouse workers comes up, tries to get into a conversation with them, and they kind of have this sort of surreptitious exchange and kind of a handshake here or there. It just kind of catches you as sort of an awkward thing. Like, doesn't really make sense to you. And eventually the warehouse worker guy wanders away and they go back to whatever it is they were doing.
Because this paperwork stuff sounds all straight and stuff, but I kind of want to get in there earlier. My thought is like somehow dressing up as one of the workers and getting driven inside.
Well, I do suppose we could have Pastor Wood take care of that, because Bud has not seen his face. But I would think might remember our faces. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of traffic that comes this way. But if Pastor Wood is willing to do some illegal activities, that might be a way to get this done.
Yeah, if the devout pastor / ex-Texas Ranger is willing to break the law a bunch.
Federal, no less.
Federal law, yeah. Let's cut back then, as we'll come back to Pastor Wood and Shima and Beverly, as you guys have spent a great deal of time sort of downtown LA, moving back and forth between public records, tax records, public library stuff, all sorts of very like technical stuff here and there. You have like an hour or two left of daylight before the end of like business hours, so to speak, for the day. You just collected like a bunch of interesting things, little bits of information here and there. So what is it that you guys would want to do?
Pastor Wood has just spent the last 20 to 30 minutes talking about how important it is for society to function, that you don't break a single law, even jaywalking. You have to cross between the lines. You wait for the light.
Amazing.
I think we all would kind of narrow in on that property, that the farmland that he's purchased up north. And we would want to look into that further, like who's currently owning this, or was this like donated to like a different like company? What's happened with this land?
Okay, I mean, we can roll over maybe your previous role in terms of like digging into libraries, or under your accounting role, because you did do an accounting check. It does look as though a development company owns it now, so it's just sort of like a corporation. Doesn't seem like private ownership. From what you can probably glean is that, and especially since when you landed and drove through, lots of development is happening. Like this, like LA is booming, and so more than likely that land is probably part of a sort of a development or an expansion. So it looks to be residential. That's probably so it looks to be like part of a residential development.
Did my can I do something now?
Of course.
Or is my library roll?
Yeah, you can do
You
whatever
have failed the
want.
day. You
I
can't do
failed the
anything
day.
today.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking I had pretty
no.
much failed.
No.
Or failed
You
this
can,
location.
of course, do more. What would you like to do?
I specifically, for one reason or another, I'm just fucking things up today. So I'm gonna look for something real simple, which is news stories in past papers about the UCLA wrestling team, and see if there's any names I recognize from any competitions or anything that.
Okay. Interesting. What the hell? Library use we could just do for looking stuff up, but we could. I don't think it's difficult for you to find any info. Probably about yeah. Why don't we do like you do just do a straight luck test. Just do a luck test.
Is that we need to go to UCLA at some point, so I guess
Sure.
it's just like making it a smidge easier if they know someone.
You can make it a luck test, or you could say, yeah. I mean, you could do a library use if you wanted, or you could just make it a luck test, whichever you would like better of those two.
They're both basically the same at this point, so I'll do library use because I can use audience size on that. If that's okay.
Yeah, go for it, please.
Sure.
Come on, man.
Oh, there you go.
Hell yes.
Yay.
15 hard success. Okay.
Under 54.
All right. You recognize, of course, you recognize the name that pops up. You recognize the name of the coach.
Hell
Coach,
yes.
Coach Ed Exley. He is a well-known. He's a well-known in the like sort of collegiate athletics, which is still obviously kind of a growing thing at this era. But apparently he does hail from the Northeast, and maybe there's stories that you've heard from being from Arkham about him during his wrestling days. Apparently he spent some time in sort of like a professional wrestling circuit, not unlike Pastor Wood. Like he traveled around the country, like literally performing shows here and there. But he eventually kind of settled down, went legit, got a more serious gig as like these various colleges started actually having wrestling teams. So yeah, Coach Ed Exley, you would know him.
Amazing.
Yeah. Maybe you went to a show.
Sharma is a little starstruck because she's pretty sure she's seen him at a show and will excitedly show that to Dr. Key and be like, although he's kind of cute, but he's old. He's like your age, but he's like kind of cute.
Roll a luck test, Shaima.
You said he's cute?
Yeah, but like your age cute.
Oh my god.
Double
it down.
40?
She's
Beverly
only
like 40?
She's only 35.
No, I know.
35. Oh god.
Sharma's not trying to be insulting.
Yeah, but my tray is. Dear
You
God.
should hook up with Ed Exley is the one she is very clumsily trying to make.
Shayma's 27. She's just very afraid of what the 30s have in order.
Oh god.
But he occasionally has a fear.
69 failure, but a
Nice.
69.
Nice.
Okay. I think it's funny with 60. It's only a luck test, and this is really just a mild thing. So because you rolled a 69, I'm gonna say we'll call that a pass for this case. This is not. I'm not establishing precedent.
This is possible yearning.
This is just a fun thing. He did a show at a near Miskatonic, not on the university, but he did a show somewhere in Arkham, a kind of a small show. There's all sorts of different wrestlers there, of great variety. And at some point, maybe you got an autograph for him, and like they were doing autographs when his after the show or before the show or something like that. And so you've literally looked him face to face So it's possible he could remember you.
Amazing.
I mean, because you're kind of memorable. You got energy when they talk to you.
I was very excitedly, like, having almost forgotten the reason that they're going to UCLA now is all about shipping Dr. Key and Edix. Like that is the goal now.
I can't wait till when we go meet at Exley and I tell Beverly that he's actually 63 years old. And then she has to like, wait, is this how Shima sees me?
She's gonna have her quarter life crisis.
Yeah. All right. So, Pastor Wood, was there something that you wanted to do in the dying?
I believe I'm all tapped out with public records.
Okay. Marie and Patrick, were you going to drive back and meet? It is the 1930s. You have the ability to leave a message for Pastor Wood at the hotel, but he wouldn't be able to pick it up. You guys don't have cell phones. You can't text each other, that kind of stuff. So you have no immediate way of contacting him when he is a few hours, like he's probably with traffic a couple hours away.
Then I'll see if I can get the attention of one of these workers that I saw. See if I can bribe them somehow.
Okay. So we'll say you're at this point, you're probably outside the car, probably at one of these fences, right? And you just kind of call out.
Yeah.
Just sort of
whistle them.
Okay. Guy comes over, and it's end of the day. So roughly the same time. So it's like dying embers of the day. And you can see he's coming over. He's got his coveralls on. He's covered in dust and sweat, and you can see he's worked hard today. And he's like, "Hey, can I help you? What is it?"
Got some extra cash for you if you can help me out.
I don't think so, pal. No, I can't do that. Can't do that. He said, no. You can go ahead and you can speak with Bud over at the booth. If there's any, he can take care of you. All right, it doesn't work that way. Okay.
Any chance your shift is about to be over anytime soon? Is there somewhere off site?
Yes, ma'am. And he pulls out. He's like, yeah. A chat, ma'am. I've got a pregnant wife at home. I have to pick up stuff, and we gotta go. I gotta go shopping, and I gotta get home.
Oh,
she needs milk.
Got a baby coming. That's expensive.
It is. It's very expensive. You have kids?
No, but
Well,
I've got something I can fund your kids.
As I'm gonna pretend that you're not trying to bribe a federal employee. I think there's like some kind of law against that or something. I think. Let's just, you go that way, I go this way. We forget this conversation ever happened.
You one more chance. Just a small box, something from the warehouse.
What is your credit rating, Lomb?
It's a 40. I don't know
Okay.
if that's good or not.
It's better
Spending
than
level
30.
$10.
Give me a credit rating roll. You need to succeed on this first,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about
We just
what's
got
going to
some
happen to this.
boosts.
Yeah,
So
I'll spend a
we
little
can-
boost, make it to 50. 50.
Yes.
59.
Okay,
If I
give it a
spend
roll.
9 luck,
Okay.
it'll pass.
Okay. So how do you have your cash on hand or anything like that? Did you
Yeah, I've got
do
some
this?
cash on hand. Got
Okay,
80
good.
bucks.
He's got it in his shoe.
With a success, if you clear out your cash on hand, which means you're not going to be cash for a little while, and you're going to have to basically live off Beverly, and Marie's going to have to pay for gas. He'll be like, all right. Okay, come back in an hour. It's not going to help, you need to get the other key.
Who has it?
We have the other key.
No, there's 2 keys. You get the master key. I guess I can. Now you want me to break into the office too? Oh my god! All right. All right, come back. Yeah, come back in an hour when it's dark. Don't let Bud see you. That boy is a Boy Scout. Freaking Boy Scout. All right, come back. And he's kind of looking at he's got like a grimy old pocket watch he's pulled out and see that the crystal's cracked and everything. Come back in an hour. Meet me over there. Okay? Don't let him see you. Don't let him see the car. Nothing like that. All right?
Right, sounds good. What's a nice place to eat around here?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, pal?
We'll be back in an hour.
You got more money to spend on food? Add it to the pile. Let's go. I'm getting a box for you. I'm breaking into an office. You left some in your pocket. Put it back on the pile right now.
I take my shoe off.
$1 that Pastor wanted you to put in there. Okay. So we'll say an hour passes. You come back and you notice that it's dark at this point. We'll say the sun's gone down, etc. I would like you, however, to do a stealth test to try to approach from an angle or position or to keep yourself hidden from Bud. So this is going to be, give me a stealth test. Are you both going? Before we roll this, are we both going?
Mr. Price, do you think it would be wise for both of us to go, or do you think you might want to do this yourself?
I'll just go myself here. Need too much attention if we both go.
Okay. If that's the case, then Patrick, give me the roll. Give me a stealth roll as you try to sneak up without being seen by Boy Scout Bud White.
Boy Scout
Okay.
Bud.
I like that his name's Boy Scout Bud.
I have 1 luck, so this is all just a straight stealth here.
You only have 1 luck left?
Yeah, I spent it all already.
Then
Wow.
why are you...
Not fine.
Always burning
My
through it.
stealth is amazing, I think.
Your stealth is
What
not
is it?
amazing. This is 60. That's not amazing.
Oh, that's so
like
good.
you have it
We've
better
got
than...
boosts. We've got
Spend a
boosts.
boost if you want
Get
to
it to 70. There you go.
All right, I'll do
Roll
one.
well.
Still, 60 is pretty good when you got 30
Remember when
luck.
Long used to have like 100 luck at some point? He like was so
Yeah,
super.
he's
Yeah, I learned
using the
session
meta
one.
currencies.
I know, it's so unlike Long to use meta currency. So weird.
I'm
Even
blind. I
games.
cannot find it for some reason.
Scroll to the right. You got to scroll right. There's a horizontal scroll. because
resize
of
your
how many
window.
Skills. Yeah, or that.
Oh.
All the skills are in generally alphabetical order.
Yeah, I had to resize to find mine.
65 passes under 70.
Because you
Yep.
spent it. Okay.
Spend the
Yeah.
boost.
At one point,
Oh my god.
it was extremely close as you are moving around the fence and you just happen to bump into just a rock goes tumbling and then a cat goes "Meow," and he just starts jumping right up on top of the fence and making all sorts of noise. And you can see Bud starting to do like a little bit of a patrol. And he's got like a lantern out and he's kind of looking. Hey, anyone there? And then the cat like jumps in from, oh, hello. Hey, how you doing? Come here, you. And he kind of bends down, kind of picks the cat just jumps right into his arms. Oh, you all by yourself tonight? Me too. Come on. You come hang out with me tonight. And he turns around and he goes back to his post. A short while later, you see your warehouse friend. He comes looking around. He one of the garage doors opens up just a little bit and he kind of climbs out underneath and he's being very careful and he's got this tarp, like this blanket kind of wrapped around, and he comes over to the edge and he's just like, all right, catch, and he kind of goes to throw it over top, and when it lands you see like there is the master key. So I'm not sure if you know how security deposits work. There's 2 keys. There's the key
two,
that
yeah.
the bank, and so you can see the key. And so he's like, I want you to unlock it now, and you got to throw it back. I got to put that key back.
Okay, I'll unlock it and see what's in.
So you unlock it, come on, and then get out of here. And he
We never
grabs,
met. Yeah. Throw back
I
over.
don't know who the hell you are. Get the hell out of here, buddy. And he starts running. We'll say you bring it back at this point to the car, where we've got Marie as well. So we'll say the two of you go to open this up. Is that right? Is that fair? Am I presuming too much?
Yeah.
Okay, so the two of you, you go to open up the box itself, which is now unlocked. So there's like no real issues there. As you open it up, you notice that there is a envelope, fairly thick, big envelope, and there is a thick book as well. When you dump out the envelope, you notice that there are about a dozen fading photographs. And as they kind of fall down onto your laps, and both of you are looking at them, you may be using the light from like a storefront nearby. You immediately notice that they are perverse and extremely disturbing. And they are taken from what you would imagine are relatively like concealed angles. You like see like these blurry like leaves or a curtain or something like that in the foreground, as if somebody was like hiding while taking them. And each photo seems to capture between about 3 and a dozen people engaged in depraved sex acts in a variety of very sort of extravagant interior and exterior locations. These, and I gotta stress, these are not like titillating. These are not in any way stretch that, but they are, even to the most hardened folk, very awkward, unsettling, strange positions, costumes, facial expressions, everything about it. It just, each of you probably feels a bit of kind of a start. So both of you roll a sand test as you're both looking.
Yeah, I feel like Marie will look at one and then like put it down and then hope the next one is going to be a little better, and then it's not, and then puts that one down again.
Yeah.
Failed with a 90.
Oh boy.
Failed with a 61.
Both of you take a point of sand loss. You didn't really know, like you knew about lavish parties, but this was not what you were prepared for. You can tell that about half the photos are look to be taken indoors with very kind of opulent residences, like very tasteful decorations, like a lot of very costly looking furnishings, like very rich, like upper crust kind of folk. A few were taken outside, you would presume, kind of in these private gardens. Two stand out as being in non-opulent locations, more like kind of a working class apartment or like a servant's room or something like that. But every single one of them has at minimum 3 and at maximum 12 different people performing all sorts of just depraved and debauch acts. There's only one face when you're able to see faces that you recognize, and that is in 2 of the photos, to the interior photos. You see the face of Edgar Job. And he is participating with, we would call it enthusiasm, in the various acts that you see. He appears a lot younger than you saw him when he was in Druid Grove. Not like abnormally so. It's been 12 years, but you can definitely tell that time in the, in the sanitariums and moving across the country with all the stress and guilt and stuff eating away at him. Mutt his full head of hair at this point, whereas he was quite balding before. And you can see like this deranged glee at times in his face. Now there's a couple things you guys could do here. So you can, if you want to sort of examine them, obviously you could just take them back with you and bring them back to the group. You can look at them now and do some rolls. It's up to you if you wanted to look at them right this moment, or say meet back up with the group later and work together on examining them. It's up to you guys. You tell me, you two.
I'll drive back. I wouldn't be used just looking at these myself.
Okay.
I must say a break from looking at those images would be quite preferred.
Okay. So then the other three, by the time you guys were done with your last bits of research, the last little bits about the UCLA wrestling coach, finding the current ownership group of the farmland, would you three venture back to the hotel, meet up, get dinner or something, or were there like other things that you would probably look to do before such a reunion?
I believe it would be good to regroup and share our findings.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll say then, for sake of ease, that you all meet back up in the largest room, which would probably be the suite of Marie and Beverly and Shima. And when the photos are presented to you all, to the three of you, and again, even if you define your, even if you define your character as like a hardened, nothing bothers, like this is distasteful. Like it's distasteful. It's like nothing about it seems like sexy or sensual in any particular way. It seems, it almost seems like rabid and there's something about it. It just seems like this strange kind of devouring of like sexual energy. And I need the three of you now to roll sanity tests as you observe these photos.
Uh, 12 for me, so that is an extreme success.
Excellent.
23, same.
Okay.
Yeah, 19.
Three of you. Maybe Marie and Patrick prepare you for what you're about to see.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that you kind of steel yourself. If you're a drinker, maybe you grab a nice shot of brown liquor somewhere from the
Beverly
hotel.
smoking.
Yeah. And so when you see them, they're not as much of a shock as they were for Marie and Patrick. So you guys kind of steel yourself. And they point out, and the three of you notice Edgar Job right away as well. He's in two photos. You can see him there. And so this is what you see as you have all 12 of these photos kind of splayed out on maybe a table or maybe even on the floor of one of your hotel rooms.
Are there any annotations on the pictures?
None. You don't see any. There's no writing anywhere on, behind, anything like that. The people are all well coiffed, like they're all wearing like elaborate jewelry, but there's not a lot of clothing to really kind of give evidence of social status or anything like that. But as you're reviewing it, you guys can make some rolls here if you want to dig into it some more, or if you have questions you want to ask, don't hesitate. Is anyone? None of you have architecture, right? It's an art. It's a sub of art. Like there's art painting, art singing, art architecture. No. Okay.
No,
I do not.
don't think so.
Okay. If anyone has, if anybody has an art that is physical, so I know Marie, you have singing, but if anybody has like art painting or art sculpting or something like that, you can roll an art test. Otherwise, you can roll an intelligence test, but I would want a hard success if you rolled intelligence when you're observing these things, as you're trying to get a kind of sense of a pattern of the locations.
I'll go for intelligence, but I am not the artistic sort.
Okay.
And I don't have a ton in it, so it'd be a stretch, but what about like a praise? Just to like, would that help at all with
I think that would be great. Actually, a praise would be really nice. Yeah, you can roll that instead.
I have good praise too.
Both of you.
Okay, go ahead. I have like a 25, so it wasn't gonna.
You're all welcome to roll whatever you want to roll. There's no reason we can't. We can be.
I got a 9 on my
I'm a
beautiful
9
beautiful.
under 60.
I
That's
failed
what you
my
were holding out your
intelligence.
luck for.
I really need to redeem myself to Dr. Key.
I'll get everyone
like
coffee. I don't feel comfortable looking at these pictures.
Oh, Patrick, 98. Whew, that's not
Bastard.
good. Beverly, okay, so Beverly and Shima both succeeded. Shima, you got an extreme success. Beverly, you got a regular success. And Sissy May, you also failed. So the appraise checks failed, but the intelligence tests passed. Okay, so what I would say between Shima and Beverly, you are able to, looking at kind of the patterns of what you're seeing in the photos. And it's not so much the people, but the sort of the environments. you would probably conclude that all of the photos, with the exception of two of them, you're pretty sure they're probably from a single location. So you're seeing enough consistency in design of the architecture itself, of the furnishings, and the kind of the way in which there's some sort of homogeneity to the way in which the grounds are sort of displayed. And then in some of the outdoor photos, when you're seeing like the different hedges and various plants and stuff that are kind of blossoming, you can probably conclude single place, probably a mansion. It's probably something like a very expensive, large, luxurious estate in its grounds. Now, the other two that kind of don't really fit that pattern, they look like, we'll call them working class photos, because like they look to be taken in the same place, or excuse me, they look to be taken like in a different place, because they're like, they definitely look like more of a servant's quarters or just regular apartments. But that's where I'll say, Shaima, like this is maybe where your extreme success will kick in. It's not uncommon, and in fact, it is actually quite common for the estates that we see here to have things like carriage houses and servants' quarters. And so you would probably take an intuitive leap that all of these photos are probably from the same location. And those last two are just likely from a servant house or a carriage house, but probably on the same grounds. It sort of stems to reason. So that's probably what you'd be able to conclude from the location. Considering the weather and considering some of the vegetation that you see outside, this is definitely like you're in the right place. This is Los Angeles. Like you can tell just from the beautiful weather, you can see some palms and things like that kind of, you're in the right city. Now, the other thing you guys could potentially do. So let me ask you all. I know that Marie, you're a singer. Is anybody here, because you have to be like professional at this, would we say anyone here is particularly tuned in to popular culture in any way? And if so, what sort of subgenre of pop culture would you say is your forte?
I would say I'm very familiar with all the newest hymns that come out.
Sure. Okay.
Shama is definitely on board with collegiate athletics.
Okay. All right. Beverly or Patrick?
I think Beverly would see movies for fun.
Okay. What about Patrick?
I was going to say movies as well.
All right. Well, Beverly and Patrick, then go ahead and give me an intelligence test at hard. That's going to be the requirement. And Marie, you can actually roll your singing if you want as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just do that.
96. Rolling a bunch of 90s.
Is that a crit fail?
That's a crit fail.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah.
That's
Patrick.
All the little pictures of skulls.
Oh gosh.
Patrick, you. This is what I'm saying is going to happen. Forgive me, as long as this is okay with you, Long. You see a woman in one of the photos that gets you very distracted. You see her in 3 photos, and when one of these larger group photos with like 7 or 8 people, and again the photo is grainy to some degree, and it's from a various angle, but she looks like Anna. Like, it's not her. Like deep down it's not her, but like it sort of distracts you as like you kind of come back every now and then to this, and like this obsessive few moments, or maybe the rest of the night. It's just like you keep getting this flash in your head. Again, it's not her. Like, she's never been out to LA. Like, that's not, but it's there, and that distracts you from your more prudent and careful study of the photos, we'll say. Beverly, you got a 66 regular.
Yeah, I got a regular.
Sissy May, 29. I'll say between the two of you, you notice someone actually as you're flipping through. You notice a familiar face, strangely enough, and you do a double take. Like, Beverly, maybe you see it and you're like, "No, that can't be right." And then you mention the name, and then like Marie, you know the name as well, and then you kind of go look. You swear you recognize at one point, Beverly, an actor by the name of Richard Spend. And you've seen him, we'll say, in some films. You remember, let's see, you've probably seen him. You said you watched a lot of films, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've probably seen him in like, one or two films from 10, 15 years ago or so. Let me see if I have any titles for you. 1 second. You remember him from a movie called The Man in the Forest, because he was opposite Clark Gable. Now, Gable was the headliner, and Richard Spend was sort of a B-level actor, and he was kind of on the up, kind of deal. And you also maybe remember him a little bit as being sort of being known for some sort of monster movie type deals, things like that. So he was in like a movie called Blackest Night. And I said, when you bring that up with Marie, you said you did some background music out here, right? Like you did some background singing and such.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe at some point you worked on like music for like a silent film, or maybe you sang at like an event, like a film premiere or something in the last few years, etc. And maybe you had the, something like that. But the two of you, when you kind of put your heads together, you recognize it. Now, the strange thing is though, is that you could have sworn like he died. Actually, he's been dead. He hasn't made a movie in 12 years. He died way back in 24. And Marie, maybe you remember there was sort of tabloid talk that there was something foul play involved. And the year, maybe at the time you didn't think of it, but now that you're mentioning it, now that you're seeing his face and this strange act, now that you know everything that happened with like in 1924, you're pretty sure it was 1924. You'd have to double check. You'd have to check some newspapers, some tabloids and such to be sure, but you're pretty sure that's right. But you see him right there, clear as day.
That could that be? And I'd like to imagine that Marie has been like, she has almost like a magnifying glass that she's using as they're kind of trying to look sort of around everything and just kind of see everything that they can. And she just keeps like poking Dr. Key in the arm and just like kind of poking and pointing and kind of handing her the magnifying glass. That surely is the face from the pictures.
Yes. Jaima, did you read the rest of the communion rites of the Victorian death cults? Does that have any tie? Because I could have sworn he died in 24.
Jeff, can I make a roll to see if
I'll say that that one you're talking about, the book that you got from Douglas Henslow's.
Yeah, from Hickering.
We can retroactively say you flipped through it while on the plane a bit. I would say that your reading of it suggests that it was as we mentioned before, it was like a weaker version of a better text.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Ashley's question is going to be, so I don't know how it actually answers.
My question is, can we identify that this is a ritual that we're seeing pictures of, like a sexual ritual? And if there's something that she came across in the book pertaining to that ritual.
I can tell you with certainty.
To sort of extend past that book or anything else that she may have seen in the occultic part of Masonic University.
I can tell you that the book, the Victorian book, there was nothing about like this sort of depraved sexual acts within it. That was not in that book. That you're sure of. However, okay. I'll give you this though, Shaima. You would know that they're like some of the behavior they're doing. It's clearly from your examination not just there for them to have sex and get off. Like there is something more ritualistic. Sure, like that for sure. You can definitely tell the goal of that is unclear. But you would also know that occult communities are relatively tight, in that you guys were able to identify Edgar Job. You're able to identify Richard Spend. There's other folks that are in some of these. Like there's one guy who's like in all of them. This sort of like 30, 40 something year old like Latin American man, but you don't know any other faces specifically. But you would know, Shaima, that since some of these communities are fairly close, it's possible if you showed some of this around, they might be able to identify a person or two in this. But that's probably the extent that you could derive from that.
It's really interesting. I'm definitely sharing that opinion. And I recognize this is not the kind of thing people spread around, but if we are ever in a position where we can reasonably share this with somebody who maybe was involved or has an academic interest in this kind of anthropology like you, Dr. Heem, I would suggest that we take the risk of showing it to them.
Yeah, I do think first we see if we can get any pictures of Echeverria, because this could be him, and this could be his estate.
That's what I was thinking as well, because he's in all of them.
Yes. And see if we can confirm without showing anyone else these rather disturbing photos.
When we came across his, this is a question for Jeff, sorry. When we came across the death records, was there a picture?
No, it didn't. There wasn't any published photo that you could find anywhere in your exploration.
Okay, thank you.
We would definitely want to be careful about who we show these to. We must have made very good connection with them. This is quite distressing to see. It's quite interesting as well that you have an up-and-coming actor that would be found in the same place as a college student who just got invited to a party. That's quite a cross-section of Los Angeles to be all in the same place.
If you recall, Job did say that he was promised power. Who's to say that he wasn't promised fame? Cults, and then Beverly just kind of like devolves into like a little bit of a lecture of like cults and how they drag people in and how, and she does like this little impromptu quiz on you to see, and she's actually, you yourself would be a very fine candidate to be targeted by cults. So unfortunately, you'll have to keep in contact with me so that I can make sure that you don't fall susceptible to this sort of community.
I'm not entirely sure if I'm supposed to take that as a compliment or not, but I will assume flattery until proven otherwise. You are quite knowledgeable on all of these topics. I'm so very glad that you are part of our investigation. I had forgotten that tidbit of information. Your knowledge is quite appreciated.
Yes.
Dr. I think Sissy May would be excellent at starting a cult. And then she gets red, not quite knowing where to go with that thought, and then turns away.
Oh dear. Well, the topic of the day is cults like this. So
people would like you and would follow you.
She would need someone to be a good admin. Anyways, but yeah, there was a book as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to get to that. So, as you guys maybe take a break from looking at the photos,
order some room service if that's a thing.
Someone delivers it. The photos are splayed out on the ground. Like, what is that? Oh my God.
No,
Face
no,
palm.
no,
And they go,
Those are
what's
hidden.
going on? You all got arrested. And that's the end of the case. You pull it out, and I will say, when you look at it, when you open it up, it appears to be handwritten ledgers. Okay, that when you look at them, Beverly, they certainly look like they're active, like working books. They're not copies, right? But with your background in cryptography, I believe you have that as a science.
Yes.
You definitely can tell that everything written in these ledgers is not on the up and up. Everything's encoded. You can clearly see things are not exactly what it's supposed to mean. The book doesn't seem to mention specific names of people, but it's just some weird code. Now, the one thing I'll say is, if you want to study this, you absolutely can. I would want two things from this. There's going to be 2 rolls necessary, and you're going to get the information no matter what, but it's really just about how long it takes. So that's what I'm going to say with this roll. So like, you're going to get the info. It's just a question of whatever. If you crit fail, obviously it's possible I could give you some false information. But the 2 rolls, and you don't have to do them both. One is going to be cryptography to try to decode it and make sense of it. And it's going to take you at least a few hours, if not a day or 2, to actually fully decode this. And then accounting, as these are ledgers, and it does seem to be an accounting ledger. And so you're trying to so being able to analyze that. So, but it will take some time. So it'd be something that you can roll it now, but depending on how well you do is going to determine how long it'll take.
Okay.
Okay. Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah, okay. Let's do it. I'm going to take a dice for cryptography.
Okay.
29, just for regular.
So it's a success. Now, anybody else can do the accounting, so you don't have to be the one to do accounting. So if anybody wanted else to sort of chip in on
Who's
this,
got
that's
good
fine.
accounting? Mine's 25.
Patrick?
I've got 10.
Oh boy.
How do I have better accounting than you, and I'm somehow poorer than you? I have 25. I'll roll it and just
Because you're spending all that money on Kool-Aid for your cult.
Yeah, it's an 86 over 25.
Okay, so likely what I'll tell you is, so then I'll tell you this is probably something that's going to take the better part of for you, Beverly, probably at least half a day or so to kind of work up a proper cipher, and to kind of figure out what these various columns are saying and the numbers themselves, and then Marie trying to decode that. So this is probably something you're not going to get like extreme knowledge about. But one thing I will give you right now, otherwise this information will be something you guys can do like maybe at night, or you do like in the middle of the day in between you're moving around. But I'll give you one thing right now. As you're flipping through it, you get all the way to the back, Beverly, you realize that there is a loose piece of paper that seems to be tucked into the book's back cover, and it has writing on it that you actually recognize. I would say any one of you would recognize it. It is the writing of Douglas Henslow. You've seen enough of his handwriting now at this point to be able to identify it without a problem. It is a buck slip, which is basically like a printed ad, is what it is. And I will share it with you. It is basically, looks like an advertisement for like Los Angeles, like hotel business, but handwritten. Underneath like this printed "Where should we stay?" and it just says Los Angeles. So it's just sort of like this advert inviting people to Los Angeles, but written Echeverria equals black, Buchwald equals town car is what's written there.
Is Buchwald the same name as the Abraham guy?
So, Pastor, as she says it out loud, you ask that very question. The account, like the name on the tax records for Echeverria was an Abraham Buchwald.
Yes, yep. Ooh.
So we're now going to have to read through this and look for black and town car.
That does seem to be their code name key.
Interesting.
And you would imagine, Beverly, as you quickly start to mess around and try to figure out a cipher, that might pop up, but like immediately you don't see it. Like it doesn't look like Douglas provided a cipher. It doesn't look like Douglas provided a translation. He might not have actually been able to do it, as far as you know.
Yeah,
but
she still has
time.
to figure out the cipher, but once we have that, we'll know that those are the names that refer to who.
Yep. So it's the type of info that you'll get in like a day or so.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or things that you guys wanted to do with these photos or with the book itself or anything like that?
Not for me. I'm gonna look out the window, watch the sunset.
Okay.
I do believe we should burn those photos when we're done with this investigation.
I do not believe that I disagree with you. Once we know that we've gotten every last bit of information that we possibly can, to the wood fire with them.
Yeah. We'll like lock them
After
up.
we take copies and create some kind of academic report about them, certainly.
A written academic record, perhaps. Perhaps. And can we say that at some point during the day we were able to obtain that lockbox that Dr. Key recommended that we put things inside?
Sure. Yeah, you can do that.
So there's sort of a
lockbox would be big enough for someone to pick up and carry with them, though, just so you know. Okay.
Yeah, just with a bit of ceremony. It's sort of like putting them inside something, putting them in the lockbox, closing the door, just sort of that, like psychologically they're like out of sight and locked for the night.
Okay. Did anybody have any other business that they wanted to attend to tonight? I'll presume, obviously, that you all share what you've uncovered with each other. Like, unless you tell me otherwise, we'll assume full communication of case-relevant details.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we'll say then, after dinner, after studying these books for a little while, Beverly and Marie, after looking at these photos, discussing plans for tomorrow, you all eventually return to your rooms, or in this case, Marie and Beverly and Chami, you're in your room, but Patrick and Pastor, you move off and you head back down to your rooms in the non-beachside section of the hotel. And as you all fall asleep, when you get back to your rooms, you notice like no one's gone through them. There's no one there kind of poking around or anything like that. As you all kind of go to sleep and rest up and kind of make your to-do list for the morrow, we see Shaima maybe like as you're falling asleep, we see the light still kind of on in that shared suite space where Marie and Beverly are still doing like this accounting, cryptography kind of thing, and all of you fade eventually to sleep. When you wake, Shaima, you kind of it's one of those moments where like you kind of wake and you're not quite sure like when you woke up, but you find yourself trudging through something very thick. There's a kind of darkness around you, and you're moving, you're shifting. You look down and you realize you're wading almost waist deep in this dark, sort of nasty, swampy bog water. You can see that there's like that kind of green sort of like covering to the water itself, and wherever it breaks free is pure black. And every time you move, you just see a little rivulet and a current kind of go off in these different directions and spread. You turn around and you can see that behind you, with your like kind of just right behind you, you see Patrick. He's right there, and the two of you are kind of pushing through. He's not really saying anything. You can tell he's got this sort of angry, sort of distant, like looking face, and as you stop for a moment to look at him, maybe you speak out, like, "What's the matter?" He just pushes past you, and you just see him just kind of doesn't physically hurt you, but just speeds past you. And as you watch him take a few steps forward, you see suddenly this opening of the water as all of it just seems to flood downward, almost like a instant whirlpool, and the ground itself seems to open up, sucking down all of that swampy bog water. And you watch as Patrick falls into it, and the water's rushing into the hole, and you can see that the hole becomes visible, and he's kind of clinging, and you see all around it, it's lined with these yellow human teeth, molars, cuspid, everything. They're all there, rotting and twisted and discolored, dozens and dozens and dozens of teeth. And as you see Patrick sliding down, he's just sort of coating over these teeth, and then finally it snaps shut, the hole, like a mouth, and it gets Patrick like right through the center of his body, and you just watch as Patrick screams. You hear it, and like your feet, you try to move towards him, but they're just like stuck in the mud water. A spurt of blood erupts out of Patrick's mouth and flies down. You can see the red just cascade over the now much lower bog water, that kind of green covering. And you watch as these 3 bites, mouth opens again, crunches again. Each time something splurts, you watch as Patrick's face just becomes utter pain. And then finally, he's swallowed up with that 3rd bite. You can see that the swamp water all around now starts to gurgle. And you hear a scream. And as you move forward, you go to wake up, and you see in your room, as the moon is coming through, as it's still very, very early in the morning, or very, very late in the dark, or late in the night, you see a silhouette of a figure standing in the middle of your room. You go to sort of pull the comforter back. But as you do, you realize like your legs aren't there, and you just see this big hunk of bog sludge. You hear the voice of Patrick, pain. Why didn't you help? As he takes a step forward, and you see in the moonlight, his whole body is just covered in blood. His chest, his torso, his arms, his legs, as if it's been chewed and chewed and chewed upon. And that's where we're going to go ahead and end for tonight.
What?
Why me? Why is it always me?
No,
I'm always you.
I'm pretty sure it's going to go 10 more minutes.
Because
The thing with
I
a
rolled
1,000 mouths.
D10. I rolled a Norse Foundry D10, and I rolled a 0 on it, which means it's you. You are 9 and 10. Sorry, buddy. Okay.
Nice.
So that's the end of the night. You guys doing okay? We're doing all right.
Yay.
Patrick, go ahead and make
Excellent
a new
session, as always.
character for next week, as you are dead now. That's it. It's over.
You die in a dream, you die in real life.
That is true. Who said it was a dream? These are all flashbacks. End of this is just a flashback to what really actually happened in Savannah.
And it's going to be Al Pacino laughing.
I'm going to write that back down, actually. That's a pretty good idea. Change the ending. All right. All right. Well, that's it. Let's do some closing plugs. We'll be back in a week, obviously, with more Call of Cthulhu. We'll continue our search. You guys uncovered a bunch of stuff, so think about it. Look in, check in with each other in the Discord. Figure out kind of your plan of attack for tomorrow, and kind of we'll go from there. So before we get out of here, why don't we do some plugs? So Steven, why don't we start with you? You run a game for the channel. When is that game, and what is it? Yeah.
I guess I do sort of run a game for the channel. It's more like the players run me ragged for the channel. On Tuesday, we play Marvel Multiverse, and we're doing a little bit of an X-Men theme. And we're coming up on the close of the campaign. We've only got a few sessions left, so come join us, and we'll see how the climactic ending goes. I'll try to end it on a TPK. I think that'd be good for us.
What does TPK stand for in that situation?
I'm trying to think of something funny. I can't. Total party.
Normally you can't. That's true. That's actually pretty true for you. My Trey, tell us where we can find you on the internet.
when I'm not disappointed that we're not going another 10 minutes, I am Matthew plays games on YouTube. And I am hoping to be back to it somewhat regularly this year. If you're into system agnostic tabletop stuff, you should check me out.
Perfect. Fantastic. If you're watching this later on YouTube, check the show notes. You find links to my Trace channel. As for us here, our next game is Monday. If you want to come back, watch us play some Fragged Empire, Melissa and I, space, sci-fi, and my Trey. We are yearning in space, but I'm going to blow them all up because their mushroom friend has now been equipped with weapons galore, and he's just going to.
Wars.
It's crazy. You just keep loading them up with equipment. It's fantastic.
He is mobile now.
I thought
He's
he
mobile.
was just on Roomba with Predator vision.
He's got Predator vision, and he's on a Roomba. I mean, he's pretty decked out. Not too long ago, he was left for dead in a burning vehicle on a continent filled with mushrooms. As Steven said, Tuesday we got some Marvel. Thursday next week we'll be doing Werewolf the Apocalypse as we are continuing our Cabbage Fest in that campaign. Next Friday we got Delta Green, and Saturday we'll be back with more Call of Cthulhu. Check out the YouTube channel as well, Adventures in Lollygagging. We've got all of our other games there, including Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory, and our Monster of the Week PPTA game as well, and plenty of other games that we ran in the past. Thank you to everyone who hung out tonight. Thank you for those of you who threw out some bits and such that I saw. We're going to pay forward all sorts of wonderful raids and stuff, and we're going to raid the Vat Terror, who are playing, it looks like, Scum and Villainy. So follow the raid. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
I'll be seeing you.